we had to take
Go down just a little bit.
to put over here in these funds.
City of Aspermont City Council meeting, July 17th, 6 p.m.
This second.
Good.
Okay.
But that should change a little in fiscal year, shouldn't it?
Yes. Well, when you take the fiscal year, it's in the summer months, we still don't get much. So it's going to depend on how he's going to set what expenses into ours or how we're going to break it all up.
How are you doing?
I'm good, Denny. How are you?
That's pretty neat.
Kelly, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I found another person up today.
Good for you, girl.
Let me tell you. I had 4 under me. Bubba started on it yesterday. Almost 4 pounds one day.
Men, it just melts off them, and it's unfair.
Oh, okay.
Well, really unfair.
Bill's down from 257 to 228.
Wow.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
I finally hit the 10 pounds. I'm finally down 10 pounds, so.
We love it. I eat my milkshake every morning. Rock and roll.
That's what he does. He comes in, he'll come in at lunch and he'll do all the fruit and all that stuff. And he goes, I'm just a plain Jane type person, you know. I like the cookies and cream.
Oh, I mix all kinds of things.
Yeah, but I like the cookies and cream.
My favorite is peanut butter.
See, Patty said that she puts that in her chocolate. She was telling me one day, and I haven't got enough. I haven't done it yet.
You can get Watkins extract and peanut butter, caramel, all these different flavors. And you just pour a little bit of that in there. So I have peanut butter and caramel in mine. With crushed ice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I thought you could walk up to Kenny and do this behind her. When I'm home.
Yeah, that's what I use, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And in fact, we're going to, we leave to go to Dallas on Saturday, and I'm taking them with me. Come on in.
Kelly, how much have you lost?
Hey, how are you?
32 pounds. I got 10 to go. And then I can quit.
I think Melinda's like 14 or 15.
Yeah, she looks great
she
too.
Looks good.
Dan, I'll let you sign.
Ah.
Sure.
Everybody would already be here by now.
Hey, Ralph.
Hmm?
How are you?
Good
Fine.
there.
Everybody already be here this Friday.
One more.
Might be the only ones. I don't know. The matter said they were coming, so I don't know.
Where does this go from here?
You can just sit back on her right here. No, I was supposed to be here because I just got in from running. So. Oh yeah.
Are you?
I guess we put her in the yard there, so.
Who was the was it a Francis Jones that passed away?
I don't even know. It's from Jayton. It's what somebody told me.
You
I
just
don't
had
know.
graveside rights, is what I was told.
Okay, I was trying to figure out who she was kin to. Was it anybody here?
I don't think so. I think she was just.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a clue.
Well, when I looked Sunday on the
I
website,
didn't
there wasn't
even
anything there
look on the
yet.
website. Somebody already told me, so I didn't even go to it.
Yeah,
This is from the nursing home, Jayton.
Okay.
Came over to lunch with a bunch of. I'm here for cut free with it lunch. And I just want to make sure that I've done it right. Hello? No.
Here, 160 gallons per.
I'm trying to show it to Smithfield.
Okay.
Well, it said all, interest was 250. But then it didn't show anything good. And I tried to use your different formulas. So then when I put in 600 a day, it just had direct retention. No. So I kind of did some finagling to see. I had to check to see what the formula was on that. Hey, Michael. long hot day, isn't it?
Oh, right. It's been a long day.
James?
Good, how are you? Good.
Hey, James. How are you?
Good, how are you?
That was our old one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why we get up till like 3 or 4 o'clock, 'cause I stayed outside so long. Because I was outside, but we were at my house. Dude? No, I really didn't. I never actually got that far. I tried, but it was.
Had to know about you.
I know. I tried, but it
I would think so.
wasn't.
I rely on that.
Play through?
I was trying to.
Good, y'all?
Dang.
Thanks, man. A little bit.
I didn't.
Been busy, but should be for me, but the guys are staying busy too, so good. Really good. Really good. We're getting right on the verge of starting to move. I'll make mom and dad a little nervous. She's ready for it. I'm more nervous about it.
Yeah, so I guess.
Can't quite crawl yet. It won't be too long. She's staying at home every day, but she comes to work. She works at the school every day.
What's in?
We have
I'm gonna have to. Once every 3 years, though, I'm back.
Yeah, right.
Is George coming?
There you go. All right, call meeting to order. We do have a quorum of 4 or 5 council members here. Ask Billy to lead us in that prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for this day. We ask you to show your presence here tonight in this meeting and let us make wise choices that glorify you, Lord. And again, we just praise you and thank you for all you do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Bill.
I think we have to talk a little bit louder where it'll record over there and we don't sound mumbled.
Okay. First part is to read and approve our regular minutes and special minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read those and corrections to those minutes?
Make a motion to approve them.
Michael makes a motion to approve the minutes. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Billy seconds. And vote all 4. Any against? Any? Passes. Alright. Move on to item number 4, Aspermont IDC EDC. Discuss, take action on resignations and appointment of members. We'll start with the EDC. So I know the EDC is a 7-member board. We currently have 3 resignations we need to accept. David Sykes, Gwen Myers, and Donna Grant. They have all resigned from the board. We have a motion to accept their resignation. Chris makes a motion. Do a second. Michael seconds it. All 4. And Stephanie abstains.
Yes.
Got a chance to sign these yet?
No.
Yeah. The EDC has submitted a couple of names for us to look at. Amy Cobb, Cecily Peck, Rowan Martin, Ellen Abernathy, and Mary Everett. Andy Cobb has since withdrawn his name. I believe there was an issue with the hospital board. I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but he's since withdrawn his name. I have talked to Roland Martin, and he is willing to serve on both boards. I believe he would be good on the IDC. So my recommendation to the council is we appoint Cecily Heck, Ellen Abernathy, and Mary Everett to the EDC. I think they'll be good on that board. Follow the EDC's recommendation. Do we have any discussion on that?
I can't. I work there, I work for them, so I can't.
Have you personally spoke to all three of them and they're willing to?
No, I have not, but the EDC has.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to accept those?
I'll make a motion.
Billy makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Chris seconds. All four? All four and none against. Okay.
That's the thing. Abstain.
On to the IDC. The IDC is a 5-member board. We have currently 1 vacancy, and then we need to accept 3 resignations. Let's see. Marcia Dugan, Don Craddock, and Sue Branch have all resigned from the IDC. The motion to accept their resignations.
Motion to accept it.
Michael makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Chris seconds. And all 4? 4 and none against. And Stephanie.
Abstains.
All right. As I said earlier, Roland Martin has, I spoke with him personally. He's agreed to serve on the IDC. I would recommend him. 2 others that I've spoken to directly that I think would serve well on the board. And I'm sorry, Justin Myers is the only, I should have said who's on the EDC, but Justin Myers is the sole member right now on the IDC. So we have 4 vacancies. Roland Martin, I would recommend to fill 1 spot. I've talked to Leanne Frazier. She has agreed to serve also. And then I have also talked to Jennifer Langford. And trying to come up with people to serve, I talked to Ronnie Moorhead several times, and he recommended I visit with local preachers and their wives. So I've talked to Robbie Harris, and he never got back to me on that. But I did talk to Eric and Jennifer Langford, and they're the new, Eric is the new preacher at First Baptist here. Jennifer, I don't know if y'all know her, they've been here about 6 months. Jennifer is a professional photographer, but her family is keeping her pretty busy. So she's a very well educated young woman. I think she would serve really well on this board. So my recommendation would be Roland Martin, Leanne Frazier, and Jennifer Langford to serve on the IDC. That's going to leave 1 empty spot, and I believe after their first meeting they could work together to come up with a name to fill that empty seat. Any discussion on that? The motion to accept those names is presented.
I'll make a motion.
Billy makes a motion. Second. Michael seconds. All 4? None against. Stephanie abstains. Okay. On to item number 5. Review water schedules, new rates and penalties for our ordinance. In working on this, I can remember a quote, I don't know where I heard it, but it's from Henry Kissinger. He said, "The absence of alternatives clears the mind marvelously." I think that's what we're faced with here. Sonny, do you want to talk on
Yeah,
this?
I gave you the copy of it. Basically, it's the ordinance that we read once, but after doing some modifying and changing under advice of our attorney, This will actually be the first reading as of tonight. We changed the date to the 17th of July. What it's done is it's set our in-city limit resident meters at 15,000, because that is a number that, with the research TCQ has given me to tell me how much water each individual uses for a household, and multiply it out, plus looking at our billing register for our own personal bill. 90% of our customers don't go over this amount of water. It's not low enough, but it's a start. So we set it at 15,000 would be for residents. Then you have out of town residents, they're the same. And then we set a bulk human consumption limit, and then a bulk non-human consumption or other limit.
Is that gonna be like the two hydrants out here at the lake?
Yes. Those are.
Why don't we just shut them off till things get better?
Well, I can't. We can't shut anybody off. All we do is try to make it hard enough for them if they don't use it. I have personally talked to Lonesome Dove and to Dunnigan, and they're going to, they have an opportunity to be able to purchase water somewhere else, and they're going to do that. So this will be kind of an emergency deal for us. If they need it, they'll get it in an emergency situation. Otherwise, they'll stay off our stuff, which is good.
Was Lonesome Dove not the only one that's using one?
Dunnigan, they both have their own meter.
Yeah, no.
Dunnigan had their own. I
Yeah,
thought Lonesome Dove was the only one that was going out by the lake.
They both have one.
They both have one out there.
That's a place for their trucks to turn around. Now, Dunnigan has one in their yard as
Yeah,
well.
that's what I thought they were using.
So they have two.
Okay, on this number 4, is this mean like the water lines that's going out to
Yes.
Sweet Home and Tri-Tri and all that stuff? Is that what that means?
Human consumption.
Yes. Tri-Tri, Swenson, Old Glory, Southeast, Southwest, Plainview.
Right.
All of
The
those.
Joneses and the Wards and all that stuff. I don't think that's high enough. I mean, because I think it should depend on how many meters is on that line.
Well, and it's
Because
really,
if we're gonna get 15,000 per residence, they should get 15,000 per meter.
well, the problem is with, I can do that with Swenson and Old Glory,
Why can't you do it with Tri-Tri?
because they have animal watering pens.
Well, I think, I'm okay, but I mean, I still think we're gonna have to make an adjustment on that.
Well, what I've
Because
done,
250,000 is not gonna be enough for, 37 meters anyway.
well, it's 500,000 is what that would be, if you multiply 37 meters times that. But you have to take in consideration for livestock, watering. In our situation, we're not absolutely responsible to give them that much water for watering.
So we can't keep them from getting water out here for oil well stuff, but we can limit how much to give an animal for water.
It has to have a limit set. And how I came up with the 250,000 is I took all of our accounts and added them all up. They're all added together. So to make it fair to Swenson, is making it fair to Plainview, to make it fair to everybody else, one number needs to be set. So I took all of the meters, all the meter counts, and divided it by the account numbers, and it comes up to 245,000 is what it comes up to. That's how I set it.
I mean, I understand that you come up with them numbers like that, but I don't think that's a fair way to doing it.
Well,
I think you should go one water line at a time of how many meters is on
Well, that's
that
what
water
we're trying to
line.
get away from, because I don't need to know how many meters they have.
Well, that's true
We
too,
really
but they're
don't.
gonna need more water, even if they're doing animals. I mean, that's, like I said, if Dunnigan's gonna get fresh water to haul out to rigs, we gotta keep our animals alive. I mean, I'm sorry,
And a
I
lot of that
don't
water
like
that they
that.
haul out of that deal out there at the lake is wasted. I mean, it gets put back in.
Well, and that's the whole
Yeah.
purpose of reading this, is to set these. They're not set in stone.
Right, because like I said, I think
But-
the bulk use is gonna have to depend on the water line and how many meters are going.
But you have to understand the whole meaning of what's done. Tri-Tri is the only water system that uses over 200,000 gallons.
Because there's more meters on there,
But there's
even
not-
if they're doing livestock, I mean, it's still.
There's only 10 meters more than any of the other systems. There's 28 meters on
Oh, glory.
Swenson or Old Glory.
There's 23 in Swenson, 28 in Old Glory, and 37 in
So
Tri-County.
you're only looking at 10 meters difference, which.
Well, I think
we're not
we should
looking at
figure
that
them,
much.
you know, I think you should figure them as the meters. I know you don't need to know that, but I think it should, if we get 15,000, he gets 15,000, he should get 15, he should get 15, he should get 15.
Well,
I mean, I'm sorry, I guess
we
that's
are-
really simple-minded, but I
No.
think that's the way it should be.
I'm concentrating on our city residents. That's what I'm concentrating on. City residents pay tax money, pay city tax.
Right.
They're allowed more water because they pay for the water. Our outside residents are not. I mean, I know it sounds mean and bad, but that's what we have to think about as the city, is that. And, no, it may not be high enough number, but it's a start. And we had a meeting Thursday with all of the entities.
Yeah.
The thing is we're not letting our computer set the fines and things that are wrong. If we did, then, just like I explained Thursday, they would hit a $500 fine every time. That's not our purpose to fine anybody. The purpose is to make sure they take care of their customers and make their customers conserve water. Because we had one customer, or they had one customer that had 450,000 gallons of water run
Because
through
he had a
their
leak.
meter,
Because he had a leak.
and now they're denying to pay the bill.
So.
So, you know, that's not our, kind of our business for that.
Well,
deal,
no, but I mean, I agree to that right there, but I still think the bulk use should be up a little bit for the different, you know, water people, you know, the lines and stuff like that. So that's, you know, that's what I have to say about that. I mean, I know, like I said, it's out of the county and we're city, but they're using our water like that. I don't know how other way to say it on that part right there. But that's, I just think it should depend on how many people's on the water line, how it gets figured.
How many meters?
How many meters, yes.
And I'm thinking, if we still out here opened up, where there's a chance of that 32 barrels of water going to waste to back on the ground, and we can adjust that right there too.
And all of these can be fixed. Nothing is in stone. This is why we have to discuss this and settle. I have to come up with a number.
Well, I know, yeah, I know, I understand
You
that.
know, and if we raise the number on any individual or leave them the same, the entities that are buying the water have already been informed that this is what this is the lowest that it will be. It's 250,000. That's a bottom limit of deal. So, you know, we've changed. We no longer count their meters. We no longer charge them X amount of dollars for a meter charge. We don't do any of this. It's a straight $8 as we set for bulk use. We've turned them into bulk users for human consumption. And that's a billing deal, and it keeps us out of their business as well.
I mean, I just think we just should raise it up before we set this in stone. You know, if that's what we're gonna do, if we're gonna pass this ordinance, you know, because I just think it should be raised.
If we do it that way and we count the meters and say so much per meter, then is that going to cut us enough to show conservatism? You know, because we have to answer to.
The only true way to do it would be, is what we tried to do at first, was to get each one of the bulk users to bring us a list of how many meters they had that were residential, and how many meters they had that were livestock, because the livestock consumption is nowhere near a human consumption, according to what I find. So I would have to have those numbers in order to set those rates for each one, because we do have one system that has, in their books, they have 20 meters, but in reality, they only have 14 that are actually on. So I can't set it by the 14 that are on. I have to set it by the amount that there is. Just in case they're turned on, then, you know, they can have their limit. And I just thought it was more fair to set one limit than to set several different limits. And then each person is still individual. Each entity is still individualized when it comes down to their overuse or whatever.
I mean, I know it might be a little bit more work and everything, but I'm that too. I think, you know, each line should be individualized.
Chris, what do you think?
I mean, I guess to go back to Billy's question, will these numbers get us under the number we need to be to avoid the fines?
Can you do it that way and get us under that number?
No, there's, even with the 15,000, I can't get us under that number. But I can't just cut everybody's throat at one time. I mean, that's unreal for us.
Well, I'm going to ask a question. It's not quite off the subject, but I was listening. KVRP, our water district, you know, that we're in, you know, and everything, they're saying on the radio that we're still in stage 1 and they're asking for a 10% reduction. What's that mean? And we're already saying we're stage 2 and we need 25% reduction.
Because Northwest Water District put us in stage 1, which means we have to do the 15% reduction. So that in turn puts us in our community in stage 2. We can't.
I mean, they just said last night on the radio, they said yesterday that we were in stage 1.
Okay.
They said Stonewall County and 10%.
Stage one means it's a voluntarily to use 15% less. Okay? We've been in stage 1 for how long? Our consumption has doubled. That's the bottom line.
Right.
People, when you say volunteer, they don't volunteer to do anything. That's 99% of the case. So, and therefore, we have to always stay ahead of wherever we're at. Because the more we use, the more it costs us. So we have to cut our reduction of ours. Plus, the thing of it is everybody may be in stage 1, but we're closer to stage, they're closer to putting us in stage 2. We only have a year's worth of water left.
Well, I understand that.
And
I mean, this
wells-
is what they were saying. You
our
know, they had a
wells
little
are
news
going down.
announcement about that, and they just was saying, and they named us, and it was just a 10% reduction.
Well, it's supposed to be 15 is what it's supposed to be.
They said 10.
To them. But stage 2 is mandatory. It's mandatory that we do these. And we're not setting some of the deals as a mandatory because our reduction for mandatory is the 15,000 would be less. It would be closer to 10 to 9 in those areas. So I'm not trying to just like cut everybody off at once. It's just we have to get to a point, and hopefully this is what does it, and we don't have to go any further.
Well, I mean, I agree to, you know, this and everything, but just except, you know, number 4, you know, I don't agree to that one, so.
I'm a little confused. I thought before when you explained the stage that we were in now was because when the water district at the lake,
Okay.
when they went into stage 1, that pushed us automatically into stage 2.
Right. We were in stage 1 before they placed us into stage 1. Because of our consumption rate according to the drought contingency plan. When you produce X amount of gallons of water, pumps to your water tower, when it hits a certain limit, that automatically puts you into stage 1. That's for us, you know, for our city, has nothing to do with them. But they put us in stage 1 from their side, which makes us have to reduce even more. It's like a domino effect. They put us in stage 1, we need to be in stage 2, because we're using
So
too
that's
much
the point
water.
where we have to stay ahead of them.
Right.
Okay.
When they put us in stage 2, then we have to go to stage 3. So it just keeps on. In order for us to reduce the amount of water we produce, because we're producing more water right now than we're allowed to get. Even with this reduction, we will be producing more water than we are allowed to get from them.
So compared to what we're using now, and then going to these numbers, what kind of reduction? I know it's not enough to meet what we're supposed to, but what is the reduction amount? Anything?
We won't know. We don't know till we put this in and see what people do. I mean, I went through all of our bills. I had a list of every bills that we sent out. We had a list of 25 customers that went over 20,000 gallons. That's it. Our water production for last month was 11 million gallons of water is what we produced. Okay? We can only buy from Northwest Water District 3 million gallons until now. Now we can only get 2.5. So it reduced us 500,000 gallons, which when we reduce 500,000 gallons from there, we have to reduce our well water because of the nitrate level. It still has to mix the same. So we can only produce, we can only produce 15% less water. And this reduction, maybe it'll get us there, maybe it won't. It just depends on if people follow it or not. But it doesn't help when entities we don't control
Yeah, but I'm,
use,
yeah.
use 1.2 million gallons. We can't control that, but it kills us. All of our external water is what is going over our production rate. Because it's set for only Aspermont. That's how the rule sets. All this other stuff is after the fact. And Northwest Central Water District doesn't care what we've done in the past. They only care what we can do now. And that's where all the reduction stuff comes in. It's only based on the population of Aspermont, period.
Well, like I said, I understand all that. I understand the city of Aspermont and all this kind of stuff and everything, but I think we might could reduce somewhere else, you know what I'm saying, besides cutting the bulk use or human consumption, even though it is maybe livestock and everything, because, I mean, and like you said, you can't cut Dunnigan and Lone Star off, I understand that.
But we can lower them from
But
100,000.
we can lower them because theirs is just going out to oil wells. And I think, and that's where everybody, is talking, they're seeing all that water being hauled out of here, and then,
How come we
they
wouldn't
gotta
be able to
come to
cut them
town
off
to get
both?
water
Why wouldn't we be able to cut them off both? From filling up and transporting, taking them out, and wasting water?
And it'd be just like, they could file on us for, we just can't turn somebody off if they're current in their water bill and all of that. That would be kind of.
Just one small thing, Mr. Mayor wanted me to mention out that the meter on theirs that hasn't paid that large count, hasn't paid Tri-Tri. Tri-Tri has paid their bill to the
Yeah.
city. Just wanted to clarify that. I think James wants to say something.
Yeah, two comments. One, follow on what Sonny says. When you're trying to figure out that you got...
I didn't even know you come
Yeah.
in.
I'm back here buying Chris. When you talk about you got the oil users, you got livestock users, you got human users, you can't just cut anybody off and say, sorry, we don't want to sell it to you
Right.
anymore. That creates a problem. So you have to prioritize, like you want to try to draw them all down. The other problem you get into is, this is a double-edged sword. This is also a revenue source for the city too. You don't want to tell, from a pure water conservation perspective, it'd be great to tell Lonesome Dove and Dunnigan, hey, sorry, we can't sell you any water. From a business management standpoint, they're a paying customer,
True.
and you don't want to cut that off the bottom line. The other thing, and to answer kind of you and Billy as far as will this result in conservation, Sonny brought up the fact 90% of the people, aren't going over this limit. The point is to get people thinking about water conservation when they're using water on a daily basis, with watering their lawns, leaving the faucets running, and everything else. Most folks may not go over this under their current usage, but even if they don't go over this limit, it'll be in their mind that there's a fine, there's a penalty for going over this. I need to be careful with my water consumption so I don't get near that and I don't incur that fine. And that's basically what I took into mind, because Sonny and I visited back and forth on this on several occasions, trying to get those numbers right, trying to draft the ordinance, trying to set it how we want it. That there needs to be a penalty, so there's an encouragement to get people to conservation and some teeth behind it, but at the same time you want to be fair and allow people to slowly draw back on their consumption. The worst thing we want to do is go to, stage 1 voluntary conservation, look up and Miller Creek says, sorry, we're out of water, and suddenly y'all just have to put the hammer down and say, sorry folks, you can't water your lawns, you can't wash your cars, all you businesses that depend on water, y'all are going to have to cut your water in half. Y'all can't do that from a political perspective and from having these are people you see and deal with every day. Y'all can't just put the hammer down on them, but that would be a very unpopular and unhelpful thing. So y'all got to start drawing back your consumption through your users, and that's what we've tried to do here. Those numbers are set so they do have some drawback without being too draconian to start off with.
Well, no, I understand that. There's no problem with that, and that's good. And I think, if we do have a fine, that will be in the back of everybody's head, to be a bit more conscious of what they're doing with their water. I understand that. I just don't agree with the bulk user on the water lines. That's the only, I just don't agree with that. I think it should be higher. People that's got more, and like I said, and if they have to water livestock, hey, that's their source of living. I can't, I think we just should try to figure out how, a different way to
gallons per meter. But these older ladies never go over their minimum, and that just adds to who else is on that. Like we had discussed yesterday, it's not the older ladies that need to go up on their water, you know, that you need to find them because they didn't use minimum. It's the ones that went over their 15,000 plus whatever they used off of these meters that never even came close to it. So that's why it's set at the point where it's at, because it still gives the leeway for the 37 customers or the 25 customers that never use minimum. So that's why it's set. Now, we can raise it. Where my point was is I was trying to be fair across the board to entities.
Well, I mean,
Which-
I
which
understand,
I
but
did-
there's more meters in different entities. I mean, you can't, I don't see the reasoning behind that.
Well, because-
When you go from 6 to 37.
Because if you do it, the multiplication the other way, the number comes way down. 17 meters times 15,000 or 23 meters times 15,000, it becomes a lower number. And that's not fair to them because they use more. So I'm just trying to find a middle number. So that's totally up to y'all. Y'all can
I don't
decide.
think 250,000 is the middle number for me.
We normally use between 450 and 500,000 gallons. This is a 50% reduction.
Yeah, it is, 50% reduction on them.
Michael, what do you think?
I think that number there does need to go up. I mean, and I also understand that even as it is right here, that it's not going to put us down below our deal. But we also, if we're responsible for this county having water, then we got to do it. And 99% of the people around here water some sort of livestock out of their city, water to the meter. And that's just what it is.
Sorry.
Maybe I need to interject one other thing. I don't cut them off at 250,000.
Oh, I know
They
that.
can use 450,000.
I know they can.
Now,
But I just think
this is
their
the question.
minimum should be raised.
I think I even mentioned this in our meeting. If they use 450,000 gallons, which is their minimum, that doesn't mean they're going to get a $500 fine.
Yeah.
That means that they will pay, you know, for the extra water because they're going to use
Right,
the extra
I
water.
understand that,
But
yeah.
it may only be a $100 fine. Now, if next month they use 850,000 gallons, then for sure it's not going to be a $100 fine. That's the thing. All we're doing is setting numbers. So,
Right. Well, I still think we should set that number higher. So,
Bill?
50% reduction on one system is a lot.
yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you. Who else is taking a reduction?
no one.
So,
Everybody else
What's
is-
the problem with you going off the base, the
Well, that's
meters?
what I tried to do, was to keep it an average amount of water, because you've got Old Glory who has 28 meters and they only use 100,000 gallons, you know, somewhere in that neighborhood, unless they have a leak.
And you can't set it individually between each entity?
We can, if that's what y'all want to do, it just needs to be listed.
I think you're gonna have to, because if we cut one system in half,
yeah.
and we're not cutting everybody else, how is,
That's not fair. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't see the fairness in that. Yeah.
Do every entity as
So there's 37 meters out there?
Here's where it is right here. I got it wrote down
That's
up there. That's Sweet Home, that's No Glory. Try. I don't know, that Pitcock line is one of these south, what is the Pitcock? Is that southeast or south? Johnny Pitcock? It's one of them, I can't remember.
John Peacock out on the south side.
The south side.
I think it's that one.
And then Swenson's got 23, Ward's got 8, Old Glory's got 28, and Plainview, where's Plainview?
Yeah, Walter.
Is that what that is? Okay, that's 14, you know, so, and this is like Martha's out here, she's got 6 on one meter and then 3 on another meter, like that. So this is how many meters, you know, right there.
So I'm kind of getting the gist that we need to rework this to get information from each of the people we sell.
No, I've
Sweet
already
Home
got
is
all the
Old Glory. That is
information.
from, Jones's, out there by Ronnie Jones and their Sweet Home. Right, is that where that's at? That's out there.
And what was the reason you didn't want to do this like that with the individual meters? What was the reason we didn't want to limit it by the individual
Well,
meters?
I don't need to know how many meters they have. I don't need to have a multiplier in my system at all.
So wouldn't that be up to them?
Well, they can tell me the number, which we have the number from past stuff, so I take the number and we can set it at 15,000 per meter, and then, for each entity, which that can be, we can still do that even when it's worded this way. You just take out the 250,000.
It seems to me, when you figure out how many meters each entity has, first time you calculate a limit on that total water, and then you look at that each month when you read the meter. And if they go over, then
Would be up to
Wouldn't
each
it balance
entity,
out
you
a
know.
reduction if the one that has 38, each one of theirs has 15,000 per, and then the one that has 4, what the 4 doesn't use, kind of like you were describing before, isn't that going to be an overall reduction anyway?
Well, no, we'll have to see.
And I think, like I said, when we do, if we do this, people in town are gonna be more conservative. So there, I think, we'll start seeing some maybe there. I know I don't water my grass hardly, I mean, if everybody would do that, and my neighbors don't, if we start seeing all of that, I think if everybody starts being more self-conscious about that.
I was just trying, like I say.
I understand.
What I was
I just like
trying
to
to do was to leave one number in order to not alienate anyone.
I don't think there's any way we can leave one number for everybody, I mean, for the whole.
I think your one number needs to be per meter to make it.
We can do it through one entity, I mean, this entity is this and this one's that.
Yeah.
If we cut
Depends on how
50%,
many, because that's, that's a 50% deduction.
That's hard.
Well, James, can we set on, is it possible, as a bulk user, to set it up where, we establish, a certain limit per meter on those, get a number of meters? I mean, is that possible? Is that making sense?
Sure. The only thing I would say, y'all can amend this ordinance as you see fit. Just when you pass your motion tonight, say we wanna approve this motion on this ordinance on first reading with the following amendments, and I'll make those amendments on the draft to send back to y'all for the second.
It kind of sounds like it'd be kind of hard to do it tonight.
Yeah, he's gonna have to or crunch some numbers or something, like that, but.
Well, I mean, this is the thing is, this is where we have to get to the point of what we're gonna do. Is we're gonna, allow consumption of livestock the same as consumption of human. And if we are, then it's a no-brainer. If we just do 15,000 per meter. If we're not, then, I'm gonna have to get more information for sure. But we,
I'd rather.
Sure have to get new.
Yeah, I mean, and I know this probably sounds kind of silly or something, I'd rather give 15,000 to a meter that's watering livestock than I would 15,000 given to Dunnigan. I know we're back to that, but, really, but I know that kind of sounds silly, but still.
Well, you have to look at, in our revenue, Dunnigan's been purchasing over 1 million gallons. So cutting them at 100,000, that's way.
Yeah, but if we're gonna not water animals and give them,
You have to take care of
that don't make it, even though, because they're paying for theirs, even if they're paying, feeding, watering
Okay.
animals.
All right, so you do disagree on number 4, on bulk user. Let's look through the rest of this, see if there's any issue. Does anybody have any issues with the rest of this?
I'd like to know what your opinion is of this number 4 issue.
I think it is. It's assigning that. It's hard. I don't know. I think but I think once we know how many meters they have, and if we do, if we just calculate, that limit per entity, and if we have to manually assess the fine anyway, then we're going to be looking at them individually. The employees are, and that's kind of what I'm thinking, and that's what I kind of understand y'all are versus a flat limit for each entity.
Well, isn't that the truest way to see if we're going to cause a reduction by doing that?
I
As
would
well,
think
having
so.
an individual?
I would think so.
It's just down and outright fair. To me.
This business deal, that just limited to the city business? Or the business limit?
This is an open business.
I'm just saying,
limit.
it's not even.
Yeah, it's just residents, so it goes for businesses. Businesses is set at
So
35,000, That's what businesses are set at, and that amount was set because I went and did 6 month plus last year's consumption, and the most what was used was through the car wash at 32,000, and then budget in, it went to 34,000 1 month, and then I think Hitman's had been right there close, so.
So taking that out, you brought them down 15, did you?
No, they're at 35.
No,
All
it's a
businesses
business,
are-
yeah.
Well, that's why I asked him, he
Yeah.
said this was taken out of it.
Yeah, businesses, the list business was taken out, but it's put in, and part of the other, in the new ordinance says 35,000. What we've also done is there's been some adjustments in people that have residential meters, but they own businesses from their home.
Right,
We've
right.
actually come back in and rescheduled them instead of a residential meter, now it's a business meter.
Well,
Right.
I mean, the argument can almost be brought up too, a lot of these people that have their town and whatnot, their house, that water out of that deal, that's a business also.
Exactly.
I mean,
Right.
That's some of the stuff. We are not set up at this time to do a lot of those things, because we'd have to pass a whole other ordinance to do some of those things. We're kind of limited of what we can do on some of these, but some are easy, but some are not.
As far as the watering schedule goes, any issues with that?
We really need to, if we're gonna get, we really need to get it publicized out there.
Yeah.
I mean, posted everywhere, in the
I would
paper.
question, I mean, it's not that anything's wrong with it. You know, out here in your town right here, and over here is a highway, you got a lot more over here than you do over here.
The reason
Is there anywhere else we could split that where it'd be more toward the middle than?
The reason we're doing that is because we can catch up.
I mean,
You can't go
I don't
long-
care, I'm not.
You can't go long ways, we're having to
We let
do,
her-
east and west.
So we know when the west side of town waters, we know we can run our booster pumps to keep up. So when the east part of town waters, we don't have to, and we can catch up during those days if they're not watering. So, yeah, that was, we really thought about that, so.
Any other issues?
For the penalty for violation, are we going, say like Billy uses 15.5, are you gonna fine her right off the bat, or do they get a warning?
That's part of on the new one, we set a limit. I think on this one, it has $100 to $500 or whatever. What we did is we put in the new ordinance, it states, no less than 20, no more than 500. So, and the reason you do that is if somebody's gonna go over, they're gonna go over 1,000 gallons, then in reality, that cost us $8.
Yeah.
So, they probably won't go over 1,000, they'll probably go over more than that. So minimum of 20, we can't go anything over 500. And these will all be, like I say, in office, so it's individualized.
And Stephanie, the goal here is to, Sonny and I talked about, is separate the accidents from the reckless disregard.
Oh, right, people that leave their water that run down the road, yeah, I understand that,
This
yeah.
is an older copy of everything?
Yeah.
Where is the one that y'all come?
Ralph has got it.
As far as I know, that's the only change. That's the only
That's the
change.
only changes. Well, we took out the business, the rates,
Come in my packet.
all of
This
that.
one come in my packet.
I know this is not the one that.
This is not the one they're going by, though.
That's the only change.
On the type of customer, there should be residential business, and bulk user, human consumption, and bulk user other. Is that the only list I've got on that?
Yeah, I thought the only
That's
thing we
all.
changed was the $20.
Yeah. But, then in the rates, or the amounts, were changed as well.
So here, originally, you had it 15,000, you had it set up the way that we are saying, or then you come back down here?
You've got a new.
I thought this don't come in our package.
Yeah, that's-
I'm lost.
Yeah.
This is the same one that he had.
The only change that he's got is in here on section 1.05. It's going to read, any violation of this ordinance shall be punishable by a fine no less than $20, but not to exceed $500 on any such fine, or any such fine will be added to violating party's water utility bill. That should be the only change in the new ordinance from y'all's ordinance y'all have in front of you.
And your list here.
Yeah, and the list is the same. 15,000 residential, in and out. Business is 35,000. Bulk user, human consumption, 25,000, bulk user, other was 100. And those are the ones that we need to, the discussion of.
Right,
So,
right.
Any other changes or anything?
That was my only problem really with that.
So we need a motion to table this so we can kind of rework this language.
Second it.
All four? All right, on to the next thing. Uncollectible accounts. I think Sonny has it.
some of the issues we're kind of relating to in our billing deal is, I have to every month have to know a meter count to turn into TCQ. When I ask for that meter count, we get a number. Problem is that number is not real because we go by, there's accounts in our system that are 16 years old that are still accumulating in our system. There's meter cards that aren't mailed because we work here or because we know them, those kind of things. So, and we've got to clean our billing system up to get a true meter count of our numbers because of our project we're doing with our meters. Not only for that, but for TCQs, so I can have a legitimate number to give them, and I don't need to go off of postal stamps and past due accounts and date accounts and all that. So what we've done is went through our system, and those from 2 to 4 years old accounts and 4 years to 16-year-old accounts. We need to take those out of our system. Most of those we will never collect the money on. And in order for us to take them out of our system, y'all have to vote in order to do so, which means we can still send them just like anybody else. If we know their name, we know their address, we can send them a bill, but they're not in our billing system. And so
How much is it?
More. I had one that was 37,000.
Just one account?
No, that's total of all the accounts.
I mean, is there no way to collect on?
2 to 4 years old
Most of
accounts.
them, no.
2 to 4 year old accounts. We're looking at, I guess, $11,727.86. 4 to 16-year-old accounts, we're looking at $19,440.08 for a total of $31,167.94.
We will still keep a list of everybody that is taken out of there. So when they come in, the first thing that Vanessa will do, or whoever's up front, will look at that list. And if they're on that list, they have to pay that fee. But when you don't have a true address, I mean, these can't.
They just keep coming back to you?
That, she throws the cards away. It prints the cards,
Right.
the way the program is now.
Right.
So she throws those cards away because we don't have an address for them. So that's a waste in money for the cards. These cards are very expensive. A waste of time, and then not the true count for the meters.
Mhm.
And realistically, how many of those people come back and get water accounts?
We've had a few. We've had a few and been
More
able
than
to
10?
collect. No.
So
Just-
really, we need to
Do
take them
not.
out.
And just to be clear, this is just stuff that accrues in the computer system. It's not posted anywhere. It's
No.
just
Something that we're just gonna purge out of there, and then we'll keep that list just in case.
These lists, I don't have the only copy.
Yes.
These are just copy of the names and the amounts that they owe. But they do, all they do is they cost us $2 per name. That's what they cost us. Well, I'm not for sure how many exactly are on this. They come up with a total 165 and 67. Multiply that times $2 plus the time it takes our clerk to take the cards out and all of that. So
I'll make a motion that we remove those accounts from our billing system.
Next motion, is there a second?
Second.
Chris seconds. All four? All right. Accounts payable, everybody had a
Yeah, I make the motion to pay the bills.
Any questions, anything? Stephanie makes a motion to pay the bills. Second? Is there a second? Bill seconds.
Or Chris actually said it first.
Sorry, Chris. Chris is not in favor. All four? None against? These are bids.
1 and 3 red pickups.
Yes. Each bid should be sealed and,
This is for truck number 1. Have a bid for $400 from Nathaniel Gray. Have a bid for $200 from Mitch Richardson.
what vehicle is that?
This is all vehicle, I'm just doing vehicle number
Okay.
1. Richardson?
Do you want to tell them what number vehicle 1 was?
It's a 1999 pickup.
That red pickup,
I'm sorry.
the little red Chevrolet pickup.
They're all three there.
Oh,
There's a 99, a 2000, something, and another 2000.
Third bid is Roger Bradford. Brick. For $300. Sorry. Fourth bid is Jackie Bingham for $201. We want to open all bids or just?
Truck 1 first, and then you can accept or decline, and then
Highest bid is from Nathaniel Gray for $400.
Realistically, how much is that truck worth?
it's probably not bad.
is it? It's the 99 model. Does it say 3/4 or half ton?
Title says that.
I mean, I'd have to.
I don't know what kind of shape any of them.
Yeah,
that's the
So
one.
you're
I
gonna
know
have
they're
to
wore
tell them.
out.
Yeah.
I mean, is that the one that don't have?
I watched a vehicle for a while there, wasn't it?
I think that's the newer one. I'm not sure.
Is this one, the seats all messed up and all that kind of stuff?
Is this the one that, there was one upgrade from the bug spray when we were spraying?
Yeah.
400's probably good.
Chris, Michael?
I'll make a motion to accept that for one.
Michael makes a motion accepted. Is that second?
I'll second, yeah.
First, seconds. All four? None against? There's only one for truck number 2.
And that's the,
Should be the 3/4 ton.
It's 1995 3/4 ton. For Mitch Richardson for $200. Comments on that?
Pretty low.
yeah, that is kind of low.
It's about all you get for them.
I
Take
just
them to
say that,
scrap.
I just say that that's 4 years younger than, younger, it's one younger.
Older.
Oh, older.
My God, that stuff
Yeah.
So what do y'all
I
think?
think that's, pretty close.
What else we gotta do with it?
Yeah.
I mean, haul it to the scrap yard, we might get a little bit more money than it costs us the gas to get it there.
Yeah.
So it's like I said,
Get rid of that.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to accept.
The next motion accept the bid.
Get them out of the yard. before animals start making homes in them.
Is that a second?
Yes, that's a second.
Oh, I'm sorry, Michael.
Better
And, all four?
All for it?
All four? And none against. And vehicle number 3.
We opened this one, this is the one that the night watch was driving. It has a new seat that cost us $300.
Somebody will get their money back to the city.
What year is this truck?
Sorry, it's a 2000.
Oh, that price just went up.
Halftime.
Is that half done?
Yes.
Yes. Roger Bradford, $550.
Who's Roger Bradford?
Brett?
Oh, he wasn't here.
Is that the deputy?
$550.
I guess it is, yeah.
Second one is from Nathaniel Gray for $200.
Work that one in, huh?
Third and final one is from Mitch Richardson for $250. What do y'all think about that?
Say accept the Roger Bradford bid.
Motion from Michael to accept the bid from Roger Bradford for $550. Is there a second? Billy seconds. All four?
Take the seat.
Next is my little speech.
That's you.
I don't have anything. We'll try to work on the water conservation plan, try to get that figured out. I'd like to have a town hall meeting. Sonny and I were talking about maybe coinciding that with the next city council meeting and having a short city council meeting. And then after that, talked to Ronnie Moorhead. He said he'd let us use the community center. I think that would be appropriate. Any input on that? I think
To discuss the conservation?
to discuss it, I think we as a council need to really work hard on getting facts out there. I've heard crazy things that this won't apply to us.
That's, we need to discuss them, that what I was talking to you about, maybe with Sonny when it comes up his turn or something.
So, I think we all need to work extremely hard on that, and I encourage you all to do so. Second is, I'm going to Hearst this week. Are you gonna go?
No, actually, the Hobbs.
They're having a newly elected mayor, city council seminar or something, and I'm hoping that's gonna be really good. And next time one of those come up, I would encourage y'all to look at going to that. That's all I've got, short and sweet. Sonny?
I guess, you know that deal I gave you a while ago? I'll read that first.
Need another piece of paper, don't you?
Let me use the back end. We have to do this because this is something that's new for us. And so every time there's something new, it takes a little more work to do. So I'm just going to read this and then we can do it. The Texas Open Meeting Act permits members to the public to record all or part of an open meeting with a tape recorder or video camera. The city may adopt reasonable rules to maintain order at the meeting, including the location of recording equipment and manner in which recording is conducted. Under advisement, we need to inform those that are recording that this, as of tonight, does not set a precedent of what the rules will be. We have to, as a city and the council, we have to place it on the agenda, come up with the rules, the placement, to make sure that it doesn't obstruct nor cause interference with our city meetings. So You know, we just have to do those things, so I just wanted to make sure that we let Danny know that we have to set the rules. I think our attorney is going to type those up and present them to the council, then they'll pass them. I don't see an issue or problem, but that was just something we just needed to go ahead and put it on record as being said.
We didn't want to prevent the meeting from being recorded tonight. The public does have that right. But the issue arose late in the week before we had time to get on the agenda, and before I would have had time to come up with something. So what I told Sonny is, let's go ahead and record it now, kind of a one-time deal. At the next meeting, we'll propose a set of rules for y'all, something, just reasonable rules, just so there's kind of an order in case multiple people want to record it or how for future reference. Pass that set of rules at the next meeting, and then y'all can abide by those from now on. That's basically just so if any questions come up, you got a flat set of rules that everybody can remember and everybody's on record as being on the same page. That's all.
So I will place that on the agenda for the August meeting. We'll place that on there. The second thing is we've had several complaints around town about some street lights. The one on 3rd Jefferson, 3rd Madison, individuals complain there is no lights. Also down Washington, there's some dark spots in the road. What that will do is it costs us nothing as long as a pole is there, AEP will put the light up, but you have to understand it does increase our light bill. And so y'all have to vote on that for us to be able to proceed any further in placing the street lights, extra street lights.
I hope I place this down when I walk through the dark.
We just can't just do that. We have to go ahead and I have to get a letter from the council stating that we did agree to put these in, these extra lights up. When I say I'm not for sure, down Washington, I know we can place one at no cost, because there's a pole there. The ones on 3rd Jefferson and 3rd Madison, there is poles there. Is it Hammer? Henry. Sorry, Henry. Henry said that's not a problem there. I just have to do a little more looking into, make sure that those are AEP poles down Washington Street. Get those. And then if we come up with some more, it is kind of a deal with standing. If it's feasible to place them there, then we'll try to help our community out to do that. So that's that one. So everything else we got, our mower hasn't come in yet, but they sent us one, so we've been trying to get to mowing some streets. Had a couple of issues out the wastewater plant with the pump. We've had to have it reworked. Got it going back again yesterday, so it's going good. Plant's looking okay. We're having some algae bloom, which is expected right now. On our water side, we are still experiencing quite a bit of loss compared to what we sell to what we produce. Our numbers are getting closer in. They did finish well number 3 is now got the new pump in it. It's working. We still don't have the drawdowns put in yet. Well number 4, we've got it online and pumping. They fixed it, they rebaled it, and it's back up to around 200 gallons a minute. Well number 2, we're having to shut it back to about 130 gallons a minute because it's starting to go down, and the lower it goes down, the more mud we pull or sand that we pull. So we've got it closed in right now to see if we can build up the level in the well. Our nitrate level is going higher and higher and higher, so therefore we have to mix more and more in the deal. We've got it set right now. It was at 25%. It's set at 35% lake water. As of this morning, set that. We're going to adjust that accordingly. The less we can use from Miller Creek, the better we are financially. But like I say, our limit is $3 million, and for the month of June, we pumped $5.7 million. That was our usage. So rules is on that line as well, but that doesn't count towards us. So we showed that we produced almost 12 million, and I think our still got some work to do. Meters, we've got about 150 in. I've had to slow the guys down. They're trying to go too fast.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about. I ain't heard nothing good yet about them. About some of the people on McCarty and stuff, and then about them being locked. Are they being locked? Can people turn their water off if they have to? If they have a water leak?
Legally, they're supposed to call us.
What if you've got your house is filling up with water? I mean, really, seriously.
Legally, you're supposed to call the city or install your own cutoff. That's what we're encouraging now, is that in the past, according to stuff, we charged to go turn your water off so you could install a cutoff on your side. We're not doing that. We've kind of made it where now's the time to put those in. And while we're working on those, is the best time to put that.
So we're going to pay for that?
No.
Well,
that's still the customer's cost for the valve. But if we're there working because we've had to cut something loose and replumb it, if they'll pay for the valve, it doesn't take us that long to put it in. So we've made those commitments to some of the individuals.
Where exactly does the valve sit? Right outside the...
It needs to sit on your side of the line anywhere. It doesn't matter where it sits, but...
when we discussed this, I mean, unless I just completely missed something, that wasn't even talked about. I didn't know nothing about that we could not turn our own meters off if we had to.
Well, that's part of water law. That's just part of business. Is those meters and the turnoffs belong to the city. They do not belong to.
Well, I understand that, but I mean, if you had to turn your water off because you have busted a hose in your kitchen or your washing machine or your bathroom, I mean.
And most people do just turn them off. They own a cutoff and they turn them off, and we never know.
But we can't get into these.
But we can.
I know, but the people individually can't.
Not on most of them. Some of them don't have locks. We only purchased 25 new lids that have the new locks on them. So that's only 25 people that have locking lids. Most lids are not going to lock. I've cut.
Well, I mean, why? I mean, what's the purpose of the locking lids?
So what happens when, for instance, the hospital lid is locked?
The maintenance.
And we have horrible
like on a Sunday night.
Well,
and he goes out and breaks it, the lid, so he can shut it
have
off.
a cutoff on your side of the meter.
Okay.
That's plumbing code law. That's not my law. That's plumbing
Okay,
code.
but you know how we've done things forever in this community, and
And
we're
that's
not
what
aware
we're
of
working.
that.
That's what we're
not.
So,
working.
Yeah.
is there any possibility of letting people know that before you just lock the lid, maybe?
Right now, just leave them locked.
Until you get it out there. And like on McCarty Street, this one individual, she said she got hers in, and there's no screens on them. Don't we have to have screens on it going back into the house?
We shouldn't have to have, but our water should be clean enough that we don't have to have screens on the waters. We've also addressed that as well. All of these issues are being addressed with this company. So.
Okay, because I think we should have screens. I don't want all that stuff up in my sink.
Well, the issue was, and we had a discussion about this yesterday with the people putting them in. This is just not how they're supposed to be put in, period. I don't allow that for us to put in meters this way, so I can't allow them to do the same thing.
Well, yeah,
They have to fall
exactly.
under our standards, and our standards is you clean the box out.
Right.
If water leaks in the box, you bail that water out before you replace that meter in there so you don't get that trash. Because our system is a closed system. pretty much,
Yeah, like I said,
so
we
you
don't
should
want all
never
that
have
up in them lines.
And we've got some issues which we addressed with that, with some of the installers who just have no clue. And so we're addressing that.
So,
Shouldn't be another issue if they do it the way they're supposed to.
so I mean, but did we have screens before?
Well, some of the meters do, some of the meters don't. It depends on the brand of the meter, the type of meter, the size of the meter. It all. Most of them have screens big enough to stop the big rocks, because the meters had mechanical parts.
Right.
And it would break the meter. These meters have no mechanical parts, so that's not an issue for breaking the meter.
So in other words, about these new meters, we need to get it out there, where they know that we need to, if y'all will help install the cutoff valve and all that kind of stuff, they need to come talk to you.
The ones that are already in place, those people need. Because evidently mine's been replaced, and I didn't know it, but it killed my shower.
Well, he's replaced 150 of them, and
Yeah, but only 25 of the lids lock.
Right.
Those are new, brand new lids, and they come with locks, and
Right.
they just installed the locks.
Well, yeah, but I mean, about the cutoff though, we need to,
Well,
evidently some of the people was not, aware of that, 'cause they have not been, to the meetings or read the paper, or, you know what I'm saying, that we were gonna start doing this.
Well, and the issue where it comes into that is, people turn their meter off, and that valve, it's called curb stop, is not meant to be used as a off and on, off and on, off and on, because then it starts leaking. Well, when it starts leaking, that's the city's loss, not the customer's loss. There's certain ways you have to fix those in order to keep them from leaking. And so, National Plumbing Code basically states that a customer is not allowed, that box belongs to the city, the meter belongs to the city, and if you have access to that, then you can be charged with theft of service. So,
Well, like if they're gonna go put one in Michael's, I think, like a little bit of common courtesy, or what days they're gonna be on what street or something, to say, hey, if you've got that cut-off valve, while we're here, if we install your new meter,
I can't go that far,
I mean,
that would be
because-
infringing on somebody else's business. I can't go that far.
Let's try to wrap this up.
Anyway, that's part of, that, and most of the stuff we can address. We're trying to address all the issues, but we are way behind on putting them in because of that. So we're addressing that. They're supposed to be here again Thursday and start under the new rules of installing this. So, I don't have anything else.
Do you have a plan for those that are already?
Well, the ones that are already in, I mean, I'm supposed to have locking boxes on all of my meters. And things just happen, and you forget your key, and so you use a screwdriver to open it, and once it's open, they get a hammer and they bust the lock off, and then they just place a lid because it's easier to get into the meter box to read the meter the next time. That's just how that goes, but that's not how it's supposed to go. But I'm not going to put locking boxes on where there's no locking boxes now. I'm taking the old meter lids and we're cutting the holes in them and putting them back on. It's just we had to have a start in these 20 to 25 lids. This so happened to be in this area, but this is something we're not going to just go out and just search to do and search and destroy. Problem is if you twist your curb stop off, it costs you $65 plus. That's what we already have that charge set up in our system. I don't want to charge nobody $65 either, but so they could pay the $65 and put a cutoff on their own side, and we wouldn't have the issues. So,
Make most of it, Jeremy.
I'll make some motion, Jeremy, a second from Billy, all four.
Thank y'all all for coming.
Your march.
My suggestion is that people recommend it. Yeah, do you have a source for those valves, for the cutoff valves?